Most people use ChatGPT like a search bar, then wonder why the answer sounds robotic. The tool is not magic. It is a collaborator that needs context. In this video, we will use one simple workflow to turn ChatGPT into a useful work assistant. We will test it on a client email, messy meeting notes, and a task plan. The prompt structure is simple: role, context, goal, tone, and format. Role tells ChatGPT what kind of helper to become. Context tells it what is actually happening. Goal tells it what success looks like. Tone keeps the writing human. Format gives you something you can use right away. Here is the first test. Instead of saying, write a client email, we give ChatGPT a real role and a real job. Act as a calm account manager. Rewrite this update for a client. Keep it under 120 words. Make it professional but human. End with one clear next step. The result is usually better because ChatGPT is no longer guessing. It knows the role, it knows the length, and it knows the tone. The most important part is the final instruction. End with one clear next step. That stops the email from becoming vague. A weak AI email usually has the same signs. It opens with "I hope you are well." It says "just checking in." It ends with "please let me know." None of that is terrible, but it sounds like everybody else. A better brief creates a more specific result. Tell it the actual status, who the reader is, what decision is needed, and what the next step should be. Constraints are what make the output useful. If the client is busy, say that. If the email should ask for approval, say that. If it should avoid jargon, say that. If you only want one call to action, say that. The more real the constraints, the less editing you have to do later. The second test is meeting notes. The beginner mistake is asking for a summary when what you actually need is action. Try this. Turn these notes into action items. Create a table with task, owner, deadline, and risk. If a detail is missing, mark it as missing instead of inventing it. That missing detail rule matters. AI can sound confident even when it does not know. For work, confidence is not enough. You want checked information. Tell it directly. If a detail is missing, say missing. Do not invent names, dates, numbers, or promises. The best meeting note output is not a pretty paragraph. It is a working table. A task column tells you what needs to happen. An owner column tells you who is responsible. A deadline column tells you when. A risk column tells you what could block the work. A missing information column stops the AI from pretending the notes were complete. Another strong move is to ask ChatGPT to give you follow-up questions before it writes the final answer. For example, before you draft the plan, ask me up to 5 questions that would improve the result. This is useful because a good assistant should not just produce words. It should notice what is missing. The third test is a task plan. Give ChatGPT a messy goal and ask for a small plan. Create a 5-step plan for this task. Make each step beginner-friendly. Keep each step under 30 minutes. Include the first action I should take right now. This is the real workflow. Prompt, review, correct, rewrite, and use. Do not copy the first answer blindly. Treat it like a draft from a fast assistant. Check facts. Fix tone. Shorten anything that sounds padded. Then use the result. Do not stop after the first draft. The second prompt is where the quality usually improves. Ask, critique this output. Find anything vague, too long, too formal, or unclear. Then rewrite it shorter while keeping the same meaning. This turns ChatGPT from a generator into an editor. If you want the output to sound more like you, give it a small style sample. Paste 2 or 3 sentences you have written before and say, match this level of directness and warmth. You can also ban phrases. For example, do not say "hope you are well," "game changer," "unlock," or "leverage." One safety rule: do not paste sensitive information into an AI tool without checking the privacy settings and your company policy. Remove client names if you do not need them. Remove private numbers. Never paste passwords. If the task involves legal, medical, financial, or confidential data, slow down and check the rules first. Mistake 1 is giving no context. Prompts like "write this better," "make it professional," "summarize this," or "help me" are not wrong, but they are weak. They force the model to guess what you mean. Add the background and the goal. Mistake 2 is ignoring tone. If you do not name the tone, AI often becomes overpolished. For work, plain and clear usually beats impressive. Try words like calm, direct, friendly, concise, and confident. You can also say, do not use corporate jargon. Mistake 3 is not asking for a format. If you need a table, ask for a table. If you need bullets, ask for bullets. If you need one paragraph, say one paragraph. Format is how you turn an answer into something usable. Mistake 4 is sending the output without review. AI output is a draft. You are still responsible for what gets sent. Before you use it, check names, dates, numbers, links, promises, and anything that could create a misunderstanding. A 30-second review can prevent an awkward mistake. The bigger win is building a prompt library. Once a prompt works, save it. Name it by the task, not by the tool. Client email rewrite. Meeting notes to action table. Project plan for messy goal. Weekly report summary. This turns one good prompt into a reusable workflow. There are also times not to use it, or at least not to use it alone. Do not let it make final legal language. Do not rely on it for medical advice or specific financial decisions. Do not use unverified facts. Do not outsource your judgment. Use AI to speed up thinking and drafting, not to remove responsibility. Here is the scorecard. Ease of use is 5 out of 5. Result quality is 4 out of 5 when you give it context. Speed is 5 out of 5. Beginner friendliness is high. The risk is accuracy, because it can still invent or smooth over details. My verdict: use it for drafts, structure, and rewrites, but check anything important. Copy this template. Act as the role. Here is the context. The goal is the outcome. Use this tone. Return it as this format. Then add. If information is missing, ask a question instead of inventing the answer. That one structure is enough to make ChatGPT useful for emails, summaries, plans, outlines, and checklists. Here is the workflow in 1 minute. Brief it with role, context, goal, tone, and format. Generate a first draft. Check the details. Ask it to critique and shorten the answer. Make it sound more like you. Save the prompt if the output helped. That is how you turn ChatGPT from a toy into a repeatable work system. If you want to test this today, do not start with a huge project. Start with one boring task. Rewrite one email. Turn one set of notes into action items. Make one task plan. Then compare the result to what you would normally write. If the prompt saves you time, save it in a prompt library. That is how this becomes a system instead of a random trick. Final verdict: this is one of the best beginner workflows because it works immediately. Pick one boring work task today. Use the 5-part prompt. Compare the output to your usual first draft. Then save the prompt if it works. The goal is not to sound like AI. The goal is to get useful work done faster. If you want the next workflow, the channel is testing AI tools every day with real examples, scorecards, and practical prompts.